The morning sun rose over the small farming town as a gentle breeze carried the smell of dry hay across the selling yard. Horses stood in long rows, some restless and some proud. Buyers moved from pen to pen, searching for strong animals that could work or bring profit. In one quiet corner stood a brown mare named Hope. She had a smooth coat, long black tail, and soft eyes that once held great strength. Now she looked tired and unsure. Her old owners had brought her here because they believed she could no longer have foals. They called her Barren. They said she had lost her value. Hope heard every word and felt her heart grow heavy. Hope had once lived on a peaceful farm with green fields and a small river that shined in the sunlight. She had spent her days running across open land and carrying young riders on gentle walks. She had pulled small carts during harvest season and stood proudly near the gate when visitors arrived. She had always been patient and loyal. But seasons passed without a foal. Her owners wanted horses who could give them young ones. They saw Hope only as extra work. So they made the choice to sell her. Hope wanted to stay strong, but each time someone walked past her pen with no interest, she felt herself sink deeper into sadness. Many horses in the yard looked lively enough to catch buyers quickly. Some stomped the ground to show their energy, while others lifted their heads high with confidence. Hope did not do any of that. She stood with quiet grace, waiting for someone to notice the kindness inside her. She did not know if anyone would. At the far side of the yard stood a cowboy named River. He was a gentleman in his early 30s with dark hair, calm eyes, and a quiet strength in the way he moved. Most people in town knew him as someone who cared deeply for animals. He often rescued lost or injured creatures and brought them back to life with patience and effort. River lived alone on a ranch far from town. His home was peaceful, and the land around it spread wide under open skies. River did not mind being alone because his animals kept him company. River had come to the selling yard because he wanted to find a calm horse who could help guide two young foals living on his ranch. The foals had lost their mothers early, and River had taken them in. They needed an older horse to learn from. But River did not expect to find the right one today. He felt unsure as he walked across the yard, but something inside him urged him to continue searching. He looked at the strong horses, then the young ones, then the ones with bright coats. None of them felt right. But when he turned toward the quiet corner, he noticed Hope standing alone. She was not trying to impress anyone. She simply stood with her head slightly lowered, as if waiting for someone to understand her silence. River felt something shift inside him. He walked toward her pen with slow steps. Hope lifted her head and looked at him with soft, tired eyes. For a moment, everything around them grew still. River saw not a weak horse but one full of gentle spirit. He saw wisdom in her eyes and strength in the way she stood. A worker approached River and said that Hope was cheap because she was barren. The worker spoke quickly and without care. He explained that most buyers wanted young horses or strong mares who could give foals. Hope had neither. River listened but felt his heart disagree. He did not want a mare for breeding. He wanted one with kindness and calm energy. Hope seemed to have that. River raised his hand slowly toward Hope. She hesitated at first because she had been ignored and judged for so long. But River kept his hand steady. He allowed Hope to decide. After a quiet moment, Hope stepped forward and touched her nose to his palm. River felt a warm connection form instantly. It was as if Hope had waited for someone like him. In that moment, River knew he would take her home. People nearby whispered to each other as he paid for her. They wondered why anyone would buy a horse who others saw as useless. River ignored their words. Hope walked beside him with careful steps. She felt afraid of what was coming next, but she also felt a small spark inside her chest. It was a spark she thought she had lost long ago. The road to River's ranch was peaceful. The sky stretched wide, and the ground rolled gently with low hills. When they arrived, River led Hope to a clean stall filled with fresh hay. She breathed in deeply. The air here smelled different. It smelled of open fields, calm nights, and safety. From the next pen, Two young foals watched her with curious eyes. One was a light brown foal named Rusty. He had long legs and a bright spirit. The other was a darker foal named Willow. She was shy but sweet. They stepped closer to Hope, still unsure of this new horse in their home. Hope bent her neck and greeted them softly. The foals moved a little closer. They felt comfort in her gentle presence. Rusty touched her tail lightly with his nose. Willow stepped beside her and lowered her head. Hope stood calm and steady. The young ones felt safe with her right away. River watched the scene quietly. His heart filled with warmth. He knew he had made the right choice. Hope was not barren of value. She carried something far more important. She carried patience, courage, and a soft heart that young foals needed. Over the next few days, Hope settled into her new home. River brushed her coat every morning. He spoke to her in a soft voice that made her relax. Hope listened and slowly began to trust him. Rusty and Willow followed her everywhere she went. They watched how she walked, how she turned, and how she moved her ears. They learned to stay calm because she stayed calm. Hope felt something she had not felt in a long time. She felt needed. She felt seen. She was no longer a forgotten horse waiting for someone to choose her. River had chosen her. The foals had accepted her. And she began to see her own worth again. But something unexpected was waiting ahead. Something that would change the lives of River, Hope, and the foals in a way none of them could imagine. Hope woke to the soft morning light that streamed through the wooden slats of her stall. She blinked slowly, feeling the warmth on her face. The ranch was quiet except for the gentle chirping of birds sitting on the fence outside. For the first time in many months, Hope felt rested. River had given her a calm and safe place, something she had almost forgotten existed. As she stepped out of her stall, she saw Rusty and Willow waiting near the gate. Their young faces brightened when they saw her. Rusty pranced in a small circle, as if he could not hold his excitement. Willow stood close with soft eyes full of trust. Hope felt a warm sense of responsibility. These little ones were looking to her for guidance, and she wanted to give them all she could. River arrived soon after with 2 buckets. He placed them down gently and brushed Hope's forehead before giving Rusty and Willow their feed. He always moved with a slow, patient manner, which made the animals feel safe. Hope stayed close as the foals ate, watching over them like a quiet guardian. After breakfast, River opened the gate and let them into the open field. The grass swayed gently in the wind, and the hills stretched far into the distance. Hope trotted forward with steady steps. Rusty and Willow followed her with playful energy. Rusty ran ahead, kicking up dust as he went. Willow stayed closer to Hope at first, but soon gained courage and joined Rusty in a soft gallop. River leaned on the fence and watched them. He noticed something special. Hope did not just walk. She led. Her calm nature made the foals feel sure of themselves. Whenever Rusty ran too far, Hope gave a soft sound that made him return. Whenever Willow hesitated at a small slope or a muddy spot, Hope walked beside her and showed her the safe path. River felt grateful. This mare, who had been ignored and called Barren, was now the heart of his small ranch. Days passed peacefully. Every morning, River brushed Hope's coat and checked her hooves. She enjoyed the gentle routine and slowly learned to expect kindness instead of disappointment. The foals grew stronger, and their bond with Hope deepened. They followed her even when River was not close by. They watched how she ate, rested, and moved through the fields. Hope seemed to glow more each day. Her coat looked brighter. Her steps felt lighter. She no longer stood with her head low. She carried herself with dignity that had been hidden for a long time. One afternoon, rain clouds gathered over the hills. A cool wind moved through the ranch. Rusty and Willow were playing near the fence. Hope kept an eye on them. River was fixing a small gate nearby, but he looked up often to check on his horses. Suddenly, a loud crack of thunder rolled across the sky. Rusty jumped in fear and ran too fast toward a small ditch. Willow followed him in panic. Before River could finish calling their names, Hope sprang into action. She raced across the field with surprising speed. Her hooves thudded against the ground, sending small clouds of dust behind her. River watched in awe at her strength. Hope reached the ditch just as Rusty slipped. With a gentle nudge, she lifted his confidence and guided him back to safe ground. She then stood between Willow and the ditch, blocking the scared foal from danger. River ran toward them as the rain began to fall. When he reached them, he touched Hope's neck with gratitude. She breathed heavily but stood firm. Rusty and Willow pressed against her for comfort. River led them all back toward the shelter. As they walked, Hope stayed at the back, making sure the foals stayed in front of her. Inside the barn, River dried Hope with a cloth, speaking softly to her. She relaxed under his touch and blinked slowly, feeling both tired and proud. She had protected the young ones without fear. River realized that Hope had a natural ability to care for others. She was not barren in spirit. She was full of life and purpose. The storm passed by evening. The sky cleared, and a soft orange glow spread across the ranch. River opened the stall windows to let in the fresh air. Hope stood inside her stall with Rusty and Willow nearby. River could see how closely they stayed to her, trusting her completely. The next morning, River noticed something new. Hope moved a little slower. When she bent to eat, she paused for a moment as if feeling a slight discomfort. River watched her carefully. She ate well and walked normally after a few minutes, but River kept thinking about the change. Hope had been through a lot before coming to the ranch. Maybe she was still healing. River made sure she had extra rest that day. He gave her fresh hay, checked her body for any injuries, and spoke to her reassuringly. Hope responded with gentle eyes. She trusted him fully. Later that afternoon, an old friend of River arrived at the ranch. His name was Mason, a simple man who had years of experience caring for horses. He had come to help River repair a fence. When Mason saw Hope, he stepped closer to get a better look. "She has a calm spirit," Mason said with a smile. "A good mare." River nodded proudly. "She came from the selling yard. They called her Barren." Mason raised an eyebrow. "Did they now? She looks healthy to me." River explained how Hope had been caring for the foals and how she had grown stronger each day. Mason observed her carefully. He watched how she moved, how she breathed, and how she stood. After a few minutes, he scratched his chin thoughtfully. "River," he said with a calm voice. "I might be wrong, but I don't think she is barren." River looked up in surprise. "What makes you say that?" Mason pointed at Hope's side. "Her shape has changed a little. And look how she slows down when she bends. I have seen mares act like this before." River studied Hope carefully. His heart began to beat faster, not from fear but from a sense of hope. "Do you think she is carrying a foal?" River asked. Mason nodded gently. "It is possible. Maybe her old owners did not know. Or maybe they did not wait long enough to find out." River's eyes rested on Hope with new wonder. If this was true, her life was about to change even more. Hope was unaware of their quiet conversation. She stood peacefully in the warm light of the sun, with Rusty and Willow close to her. The ranch was calm, but something new was beginning. Something that would bring unexpected joy and turn the quiet days into a story no one had seen coming. The next few days moved gently across the ranch, but River could not stop thinking about what Mason had said. Every time Hope walked past him, he watched her with new eyes. He noticed the way she slowed down when stepping over small rocks. He noticed the soft roundness forming along her side. He noticed her calmer mood, as if she was protecting something inside her. Hope did not understand why River looked at her with such quiet curiosity. She only knew she felt a little different. She grew tired quicker than before. She rested more often under the shade of the large oak tree at the edge of the field. Rusty and Willow stayed close to her. They sensed the change, even if they did not understand it. When Hope lay down to rest, Willow lay beside her while Rusty stood guard with wide, alert eyes. River respected Hope's pace. He did not push her to work or walk more than she wanted. Every morning, he brushed her coat slowly and checked her with gentle hands. Hope relaxed under his touch. She trusted River so much that she no longer flinched or hesitated when he approached. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills and the sky turned gold, River sat on the fence and watched Hope graze. Mason's words echoed in his mind. If Hope was carrying a foal, everything would change. The mare who had been sold for having no future might be carrying a new life after all. River felt excitement, but he also felt responsibility. If Hope was expecting, she would need even more care. As the last light faded, River walked to her. Hope lifted her head and stepped closer. River placed his hand gently on her side. She stood still as if she understood what he was checking. A soft smile touched River's face. "I don't know yet," he whispered softly. "But if you are, we will make sure everything is safe." Hope breathed warm air through her nose. Rusty and Willow trotted up, nudging River's shirt with playful energy. River laughed quietly and scratched their heads before walking back to the barn. The next morning brought a fresh breeze and soft clouds drifting in the sky. River planned to take Hope and the foals to the far meadow, where the grass grew rich and the land was open. He believed the space would help Hope relax. Before leaving, he prepared a special feed mix for her. Hope sniffed it curiously and began eating with slow, careful bites. Rusty and Willow danced around, excited for the walk. Hope followed them with steady steps. River walked beside her, ready to slow down whenever she needed. The meadow was peaceful. A small stream ran through it, and tall trees cast long shadows on the grass. Hope stood near the stream, drinking cool water. Rusty splashed his hooves in the shallow edge, sending tiny droplets toward Willow, who squeaked and ran behind Hope for safety. River watched them all with a calm smile. Moments like this made the ranch feel like a family. As the day continued, River sat on a fallen log and observed Hope closely. She grazed slowly, moving only a few steps at a time. Her body seemed to carry a new rhythm, one steady and gentle. She no longer ran with the foals, but she never let them wander too far. Every few minutes, she lifted her head and checked where they were. River noticed something else too. Hope had become more protective. When a bird landed too close to Rusty, Hope stepped forward and gave a soft warning sound. The bird flew away. Willow pressed against Hope's side, feeling safe under her watch. By late afternoon, River decided it was time to return. The walk back was peaceful, but halfway through the field, Hope suddenly paused. River stopped beside her. Rusty and Willow slowed down and looked back. Hope lowered her head and took a deep breath. River touched her neck gently. She lifted her head again after a moment and continued walking. River remained close, worried but calm. Hope reached the barn without trouble, but River knew she needed rest. That evening, River called Mason again. Mason arrived with a small bag of supplies and approached Hope carefully. He checked her sides, her breathing, and her heartbeat. He placed his ear gently against her belly and listened for a long moment. River waited quietly, holding the edge of the stall door with steady hands. Finally, Mason stepped back with a smile that spread slowly across his face. "River," he said. "She is carrying a foal." River felt a wave of joy move through him. It was like the whole ranch brightened. He looked at Hope with new admiration. The mare who had been cast aside, the mare who had been called Barren, was now expecting a young life growing inside her. Hope watched the two men with calm eyes. She did not understand their words, but she felt their warm energy. She felt safe here, and she felt something new inside her, something small but strong. Rusty and Willow stood close, nudging her gently as if they sensed the change. River bent down and stroked their heads. "She will need you two to be gentle now," he said softly. Mason explained the steps they needed to take. Hope would need more rest, softer bedding, and careful feeding. She should avoid long runs or sudden jumps. River listened closely and repeated every instruction in his mind. He would do everything to make sure Hope stayed healthy. For the next weeks, River followed Mason's advice with full dedication. He made Hope a bigger stall lined with fresh straw that smelled clean and warm. He added more shade in the field and placed fresh water buckets where she could reach them easily. Rusty and Willow stayed with her everywhere she went. They no longer ran too wildly. Instead, they walked beside her, calm and protective. Hope settled into this new rhythm. She felt her body changing each day. She felt slower but stronger in a different way. Every time River touched her side, she felt comfort. Every time Rusty and Willow nuzzled her, she felt surrounded by support. One night, as the stars filled the sky and a gentle wind passed through the ranch, Hope rested peacefully in her stall. Willow slept near her front legs, and Rusty slept near her tail. The barn was silent except for the soft breathing of sleeping animals. River stood at the door, watching them. He felt proud. He felt grateful. Hope had brought new life into his ranch long before any foal grew inside her. She had brought peace, warmth, and unity. But now a real foal was coming. A new chapter was waiting. A new life would soon join this small family. River knew it would not be easy, but he was ready. Hope was ready. And the ranch was ready too. Hope's belly grew rounder as the weeks passed. Her steps became slower, but her spirit stayed calm and strong. River kept a close watch on her every day. He checked her feed, brushed her coat, and made sure she rested enough. Rusty and Willow also stayed beside her with surprising maturity. They no longer ran across the field in wild excitement. Instead, they walked in gentle circles near her, as if guarding her from anything that might frighten her. The ranch felt peaceful, but River knew the time was getting close. He could see the signs. Hope moved carefully. She took longer naps. She often stood looking toward the hills as if listening to something only she could hear. River felt ready, but he also felt nervous. He wanted the foal to arrive safely. One early morning, River woke before sunrise. A strange stillness filled the air. He stepped outside and saw dark clouds building far beyond the hills. The wind carried a heavy scent, the kind that warned of a coming storm. River looked toward the barn. Hope stood at the entrance, her head raised, watching the sky. Rusty and Willow stood beside her. River walked to them and stroked Hope's neck gently. She leaned her head against his shoulder for a moment. He could feel her trust. He checked her breathing. It was calm. But there was something different in her eyes, something deep and watchful. "You can stay inside today," River said softly. "The weather is turning." As the day went on, the clouds grew darker. The wind picked up and moved strongly against the fences. Leaves flew across the ground, and the air turned colder. River locked the barn doors but left enough space for fresh air. Inside, Hope stood close to the foals. She shifted her weight carefully from one leg to the other. Rusty watched her with worried eyes. Willow stayed pressed against her side. River stayed with them for hours. He placed extra straw on the floor and checked Hope's water bucket. The barn creaked under the growing storm, but Hope stayed steady. River sat on a stool near her stall, listening to the wind push against the walls. He glanced up often, hoping the storm would calm soon. But by late afternoon, the sky opened. Rain poured down in heavy sheets. Thunder rolled across the land. The wind howled like a wild force moving through the hills. The barn shook slightly with each blast of wind. In that moment, Hope lifted her head and made a soft sound. River stood quickly and approached her. Hope breathed in deeply and shifted again. River watched carefully. He recognized the signs. The time was coming. His heart pounded with both fear and hope. Rusty and Willow backed away slowly as if they understood something important was happening. Hope lowered her head for a moment and then lifted it again. She looked at River with trust and calm strength. River whispered softly, "It is time, isn't it?" He moved to prepare everything he needed. He placed more straw, prepared warm cloths, and opened a small box of supplies Mason had insisted he keep nearby. The barn lights flickered slightly from the storm outside. River hoped the power would stay steady. The rain grew louder. Wind slammed against the barn, rattling the wooden boards. River stayed calm. He had seen animals give birth before, but each moment felt different and important. Hope had been through so much. She deserved a safe and peaceful moment, even in the middle of a storm. Hope shifted again. Her breathing grew deeper and more focused. River placed his hand on her neck. "You are strong," he whispered. "I am here." The storm raged outside while Hope worked through each moment with quiet power. Rusty and Willow watched from a corner of the stall, their young faces filled with worry and confusion. They did not move closer, but they did not leave either. They stayed where Hope could see them, as if offering silent support. The hours passed slowly. River stayed by Hope's side the entire time. He whispered calm words, stroked her neck, and checked her often. Hope pushed through each wave of effort with courage. Her body trembled at times, but she never panicked. Finally, just as a loud clap of thunder echoed across the ranch, River saw the first sign of the foal arriving. Hope made a soft sound, a mix of pain and determination. River felt his breath catch. He stepped closer, ready to help if needed. The small foal arrived slowly but safely. River moved quickly, clearing its face and helping it breathe. Hope lowered her head to the newborn, licking it gently. Her eyes shined with relief and deep love. River stepped back to give her space. Rusty and Willow watched with wide eyes, their worry turning into curiosity. The foal was small, with a soft brown coat and tiny legs that trembled as it tried to move. Hope nudged it gently. River smiled, feeling warmth fill his chest. "You did it," he said in a quiet voice. Hope looked at the foal with a tenderness that filled the barn. River raised a blanket and placed it gently around the foal to keep it warm. The storm outside continued to roar, but inside the barn, a new peace was growing. The foal struggled to stand, and Hope guided it with patient nudges. After a few attempts, the foal found its balance. Rusty and Willow stepped closer, curious but careful. Hope allowed them to come near. She wanted them to meet the new life she had brought into the world. River stepped back, watching the small family with full admiration. Hope had not only found a new home, she had created one. She had protected the foals, guided them, and now she had brought new life into the ranch. The storm finally began to calm. The wind softened. The rain slowed. A quiet moment settled over the barn. River leaned against the stall door, feeling overwhelming gratitude. Hope stood proudly with the foal pressed against her side. Rusty and Willow rested near her. The barn, warmed by their presence, felt like the heart of the ranch. River knew that this night would stay in his memory forever. Hope, once rejected and unloved, had shown her true strength. She had brought new hope into his life, and into the ranch that needed her more than anyone had known. A new beginning had arrived, gently and bravely, in the middle of a storm. The soft morning light touched the quiet ranch as the mare stood near the fence with the foals by her side. The cowboy walked out of the small wooden house with slow steps. He carried a bucket of warm grain and fresh water. His movements were calm and peaceful. The mare lifted her head when she saw him. Her ears moved forward and her tail flicked once in greeting. The foals stayed close to her and watched him with bright eyes. The cowboy set the bucket down and stepped back to give the mare space. She moved to the grain and ate with steady bites. The foals followed her and drank from the water trough. The cowboy watched them with a sense of pride. He remembered the day he first brought the mare home. She had been tired and thin. Her spirit had been low because people believed she had no future. Now she looked strong and confident. The foals followed her like loyal shadows. The ranch felt warmer because of them. After the feeding, the cowboy opened the gate and guided the mare and foals toward the pasture. The grass was tall and green. The gentle wind created a soft wave across the field. The mare walked ahead like a queen of the land. The foals trotted beside her. The cowboy walked behind them with a rope in his hand, but he did not need to use it. The mare understood the path. She trusted him. That trust meant more to him than any medal or reward. When they reached the pasture, the cowboy leaned on the fence while the mare explored the wide space. She lifted her head high and looked around as if claiming the land as her own. The foals chased each other across the field. They kicked up small patches of dust and grass. Their playful jumps made the cowboy smile. Watching them reminded him of his younger days when he had dreamed of running a ranch filled with life and hope. That dream had faded over the years, yet the mare and her foals helped bring it back. A truck drove up the dirt road toward the ranch. The cowboy turned and narrowed his eyes at the sight. He recognized the truck. It belonged to the family that had sold the mare. When the truck stopped near the fence, a man stepped out. He wore a clean shirt and boots that looked almost new. His expression was calm, but his eyes showed surprise when he saw the mare in the pasture. She looked healthy and full of energy. He walked closer to the cowboy and nodded once in greeting. The cowboy nodded back but kept his gaze steady. The man looked at the mare again. He scratched his chin and said he was surprised to see her in such good condition. He said he never imagined she would recover this well. He said he heard from someone in town that the cowboy had taken her in. The cowboy did not speak right away. He waited to understand the purpose of the visit. The man then asked if the cowboy would consider selling the mare back. He explained that his family wanted to expand their herd. He said they would be willing to pay more than what the cowboy had paid. He spoke in a polite way, but his voice carried a hint of expectation. The cowboy shook his head. He said the mare was not for sale. He said she was part of his ranch now and part of his life. The man tried again. He raised the price. The cowboy still refused. He said the mare did not belong to those who gave up on her. She belonged where she was respected. She belonged where she was given a chance to live without fear of being discarded. The man looked disappointed. He glanced toward the mare again. She stood at a distance with a calm and noble posture. The foals ran behind her. The man said he understood. He walked back to his truck. Before leaving, he said the cowboy had done something impressive. The cowboy watched the truck drive away. He felt a quiet strength inside him. He knew he had made the right choice. Later that afternoon, the cowboy returned to the pasture with a brush and a soft cloth. He called the mare. She walked toward him with slow steps. The foals followed her. The cowboy brushed her coat with gentle strokes. The mare closed her eyes and relaxed. The foals stood nearby and watched with curiosity. The cowboy spoke to the mare in a low voice. He thanked her for teaching him that patience could bring great rewards. He thanked her for reminding him that kindness could change a life. As evening approached, the sky turned orange and gold. Birds flew across the horizon in smooth lines. The ranch looked peaceful. The cowboy sat on the fence and looked at the mare and foals grazing in the soft light. He felt as if the world had paused to let him enjoy the moment. A neighbor walked up to the fence. She was an older woman who lived a short distance away. She told the cowboy that the mare looked beautiful. She said she had never seen the cowboy so lively in a long time. She said the ranch had not felt this alive in years. The cowboy gave a small smile. He said the mare brought change in ways he did not expect. The woman nodded and said some animals carried special strength. She left after wishing him a good evening. The cowboy watched the mare for a long time. He thought about the journey she had taken. She had been judged and unwanted. She had been taken away from her home. She had been called barren and useless. Yet here she was, standing strong with two healthy foals who loved her. She was a symbol of hope. She was proof that people could be wrong. She was proof that second chances held great power. The night settled slowly across the ranch. The cowboy guided the mare and foals back to the barn. He closed the gate and checked the hay. He made sure their water was full. The mare lowered her head near him as if giving thanks. The foals curled up in the soft straw. Their peaceful breaths filled the barn with comfort. The cowboy stepped outside and looked at the stars. He felt something warm in his chest. He knew he was not lonely anymore. The mare and her foals had filled the ranch with life. They had filled his days with purpose. They had reminded him that even quiet places could hold deep joy. He walked back to the house with slow steps. He knew tomorrow would bring more work and more simple moments. He looked forward to all of them. The ranch was alive again. The mare had found her place. The foals had found their future. And the cowboy had found his peace.